So look where the sun was when Mashiach came. This is when he died. Well, not when he died exactly. This would have been the first day. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So this would have been when he died. Like I have said, look how when he died was on the left uh, front foot of the lamb. Then 3 days later on the right, and that is when he got up pretty much with the right foot. So those 3 days from one foot to the other. But this is where it was when Mashiach died, because Mashiach is the lamb. So it had to happen like that. But since we just read the stars would transgress their order, they would not come in time at the end. And that is because the cycle that they have in 2000 years, that would change a lot. So 2021, look where the same day where the sun is in relation to that constellation. So it hasn't reached there. So if we go 1 day, 2 day, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. 26 days of a difference, which happens to be the numerical value of the name Yahweh. So look how there's a difference of 26 days between the time when Mashiach came and our time. A difference of 26 days, which is almost a month, which means that the constellations have moved a month or are a month late, because they didn't move a month back. They actually are just late a month. So that would mean that they move one constellation every 2000 years. So I hope that's understood. One constellation every 2000 years. Because if we go, let's say, minus 2021, which would be obviously before Mashiach, going the same amount of years, but back, look how the sun is in the middle of the horns of the bull. So how perfect that Mashiach came when he did, so that he would die during the time of the lamb, and in that perfect spot as I showed. So you see the sun 2000 years prior in the following constellation of the bull. And isn't it interesting that it is pretty much around that time, a little bit less, but it will still be in this constellation. It is around this time that they decided to worship the golden calf. So when the sun was in the bull, they decided to make a bull or calf to worship it. But then Yahweh made the pretty much the change of the golden calf for the lamb. Well, but my bad, because I went all the way. I was like 26 days later. So I didn't change this part the other time. So 21, let me go minus 2021 again. All right. Yeah, but this will be the beginning. Last time. Okay, so this will be the beginning of the year, which is right, well, very close to where it was when Mashiach was killed. But Mashiach was killed on Pesach. So I will have to go pretty much 15 days forward, and you see how there is inside the bull already. And the last time we saw it, it was in the middle of the horns, but that is because I went 26 days forward. But that shows right there how in 2000 years, it moves one whole constellation, because the 26 days would take it to the middle of the horns, and it still has 4 or 5 days to go to get out of the horns and enter the constellation of Gemini. So like I was saying, around this time they were worshiping the golden calf, but Yahweh replaced it with Mashiach, who is the lamb. And then 2000 years later come the two witnesses, like the two fish. And they would begin, in the same time in which Mashiach was killed. And I repeat, and I came to show this because some begin the year in the 5th month, around here, beginning of the 5th month, trying to begin the year so that the stars are in the same position they were when Mashiach came. But there are two issues with that. For instance, as you can see, the sun is already in the middle of the constellation, and they have this as the beginning of the year and the beginning of the month, therefore the beginning of the constellation, which doesn't make sense, because by 15 days going by, the sun would already be in the bull, the constellation of the bull. And it doesn't make sense because, like we just read in the book of Hanok, the stars would be late in the end of times, while many guides of the stars shall transgress the order, altering their orbits and tasks. So they shall not appear at the prescribed moment for them. So we cannot trust the stars. That's why we are in the constellation of the fish, or Pisces, during the beginning of the year, when 2000 years ago, the beginning of the year would happen when the constellation of the lamb would be in the sky. And we are seeing here that this would happen. So we cannot follow only the stars, because they wouldn't be appearing at their prescribed moment. I hope that's understood. And I think, like I mentioned while showing Stellarium, that while the sun began the year in the constellation of the bull, that's when Israel went and worshipped a golden bull. Some years later, when the sun entered the constellation of the lamb, Mashiach the lamb was killed. And then 2000 years later, when the two witnesses appear, the year begins when the two fish are in the sky and the sun is in that house or that constellation. So they shall not appear at the prescribed moment for them. All the laws of the stars shall be hidden to the errant ones. All the laws of the stars shall be hidden to the errant ones. That's important, and he has a couple of verses here. Daniel 7:25. Daniel 7:25, it says, and it speaks words against the Most High. It's talking about the beast, the world leader, the first beast of Revelation 13. And it wears out the set apart ones of the Most High, and it intends to change appointed times. The beast has changed for the world, for the nations, the times in many ways, by changing the calendar, the number of the months, the names of the days, the feasts that people must celebrate. And some believe that because of the way it is written in Hebrew, some believe that he might get the ability to mess around with time itself, as if, for instance, those stories of time travel, not necessarily for him to be able to time travel, but some believe it is already possible with CERN to send messages in time to change certain things and therefore bring a change in our reality. And that is part of the theory regarding the Mandela effect. But even if the Mandela effect is not real, it is possible that this is what is being said here regarding the power that is given to the beast. However, as I have mentioned, if he is given power to change time in a way, he would end up breaking it. And that's how time would end. So the Almighty told us everything that would happen before time. And the enemy thinks that he's trying to stop the end. The enemy is trying to keep this reality for himself. So it is possible that he will try to change time in order for the end to never come. Yet, by trying to change time, he would end up breaking it and therefore destroying it. And so the end of time would happen. And and that's basically what I have said also regarding the what they call the apocalypse. They are trying to stop it, but by trying to stop the will of the Most High, they will actually fulfill it. And then they won't have anybody to blame but themselves. So it speaks words against the Most High, and the words out the set apart ones of the Most High, and intends to change the appointed times and law, and they are given into his hand for a time and times and half a time. So for 3.5 years, time is given into his hand. The word here would be moedim, which is translated as appointed times, assemblies, feasts, or festivals is found there. But and like I said, the enemy changed the moedim of Yahweh for the feasts of the pagan beliefs, like Eastern, Christmas, Halloween, etc. The other verse was First Thessalonians 5:2-3. For you yourselves know very well that the day of Yahweh comes as a thief in the night. For when they say peace and safety, then suddenly destruction comes upon them, as labor pains upon a pregnant woman, and they shall not escape. Like I have mentioned, this mainly connects with the beginning of the last 7 plagues, the bowls of wrath, meaning the half of the last 7 years. Right after they kill the 2 witnesses, they will say, finally, peace and safety. Yet that is when the worst of all plagues will fall on the earth. So going back to Hanok, they shall not appear at the prescribed moment for them. All the laws of the stars shall be hidden to the errant ones. So even those who try to look at the stars to see the future, they will be lost. And even if they think they are reading something, they will get the wrong message, for they are errant ones, and the laws of the stars will be hidden from them. The thoughts of those who dwell on the earth shall be in error about it, and they shall be perverted in all their ways, which is very clear right now how everybody, society in general, obviously there are few who remain set apart, but in general, the world is perverted in all their ways. And they shall think the stars to be mighty ones. That's why they worship fallen angels. Remember, the stars represent the angels. So they think the angels are gods. That's why there are so many gods, as they say. And they shall think the stars to be mighty ones, while evil shall be multiplied among them. while evil shall be multiplied among them, and the punishment against them shall arrive to annihilate all of them. And the punishment against them shall arrive to annihilate all of them, as in the last bowls of wrath. The evil mentioned here is for sure multiplying, so much so that they are trying to kill a lot of the population with something that they are telling the people is for their own good, and people are running to get it because they're so afraid, because evil has multiplied.